Hey guys, Sarah here again with another video about Walmart. I thought I would just do a quick rundown of the Seller Central so that you can kind of get a better idea of what is located where and how you process things. So once you've been approved for your account, you will see up here in the upper left-hand corner that it'll say active and you'll have a green for all is good. Let's go. So this is your home page. So whenever you sign into your account, this is where you're going to come first. You'll see a rundown of your orders for the day, unchipped orders, your average rating, and then your current balance. We have been on vacation the last couple weeks, taking a break from the holidays, so we've got to get caught back up with orders now. But moving on, I'm just going to go through each tab with you. And then if you have any questions, as always, go ahead and just drop them down in the comments and tag me, and I will do my best to get those answered for you. So, starting here under product catalog, this is where all the items for your catalog will be shown. So anytime you add an item to your catalog, whether it's seller fulfilled or it's Walmart fulfilled, you will be able to find your inventory here. A couple things to note. If you want to see like seller fulfilled versus Walmart fulfilled, you can filter here based on fulfillment type. So like if I only wanted to see seller fulfilled, then I could check on that, hit apply, and it's going to bring the items that I'm fulfilling from my home or warehouse myself. And then the same for WFS. So this is actually where you're going to spend a lot of time when you are updating pricing or adding a new item or updating items or converting from seller fulfilled to Walmart fulfilled. I spend a lot of time in this screen. You can change what information you see based on the configure tab. So like if you wanted to see the UPC for each item, or if you wanted to see the buy box price to see if you're priced competitively, you could check that. If you wanted to know which shipping templates were assigned to which item, you could check that. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. So it adds it here over on the right, the columns. But the thing is, it won't stay like this. So you have to go back and configure those each time, depending what you're doing. And then it won't stay and it'll default back to just the few like we saw in the beginning. But I find it helpful to use buy box price so that I can go through. You can go through each item really quickly and look at the buy box price versus your price and make adjustments to pricing if necessary. So and we'll talk about this in another video, but there are lots of repricers out there. Currently, I only use the Walmart repricer and manual reprice a lot of items. Walmart's API is so slow that I feel like using a repricer right now isn't necessary. And others might have different feelings on that, but I go through maybe daily and just take a look at my items and adjust accordingly. But we will save that topic for another video. So the next tab over here, items on hold. If you have anything that might be non-compliant or an IP or something that needs further action, the items are going to show up here, and then you can go through and click action needed, and it'll walk you through what's needed for that. I know like this one, it needs a picture of the ingredients label, and I just haven't gotten to those yet, and they're actually really old, which is kind of sad on my part, but um, they were just not worth my time. So I've left them, but that'd be a good thing for like a VA to go through and do. This next tab here is your activity feed. Anytime you add an item or you make a change to an item or you change quantities or price or whatever it might be, it'll show up here in the activity feeds. So as you grow in your Walmart business, you'll learn some tips and tricks. When you're adding a new item, you can copy the feed right then and there, and that way you can kind of watch to make sure that it was processed correctly. If you're updating inventory, you can do that either on that first page that we saw our items in our catalog, or you can upload a flat file. If you upload a flat file, it'll show up here so that if something were ever to not be correct, you have a feed ID to reference. For example, close to Halloween, I was selling a 3-pack of Squishmallows. It was the Hocus Pocus Sanderson Sister pack, and I only had 5, and I put 5 in by typing it in under items. but somehow Walmart oversold that by 17. So suddenly I had 17 of these orders that I had to fulfill. If I would have updated that using a flat file, I would have had the feed ID in order to say, hey, look, Walmart, I only had 5 of these. It says so here in this feed ID. You guys messed up. But because I didn't have that and I just changed it, the quantity in items, I had to actually fulfill those orders to save my account, and I actually ended up losing money. So we learn from these experiences, but I would highly recommend when you update your inventory, use a flat file. Okay, moving on. Next thing is price. If you choose to use the repricer for Walmart, this is where you would access it. You can create strategies and assign items to each one. Through this, it'll actually be a sheet that you'll upload, and we can talk about that another time too. And then here, you will get emails from Walmart saying, hey, if you agree to lower your price, like here, my price is 41. If I agreed to lower it to $32.99, they would give me an incentive up to $6.15 per sale. So sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. I've had Walmart say, hey, if you lower your price by $1, we're going to give you an incentive of $3. So something like that, that's a no-brainer. So pay attention to that. They send you new incentives or recommended products frequently. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. Next tab over here is order management. This is where you can go ahead and see your orders for the day. You can sort it based on fulfillment type like we could before, seller versus WFS. These are some of the orders I've had today. It's amazing that Christmas stuff is still selling. You want to keep an eye on this tab because if you are seller fulfilling your orders, you have to actually come in here and acknowledge them. If you were to utilize something like ShipStation, then they will actually acknowledge your orders for you. But when you sell your first item, you'll get an email from Walmart as long as you've set up the notifications, and you'll keep getting that notification until you go in here and acknowledge the order itself, and then just make sure that you pay attention to the ship by date so that you're getting your items to your customers within the required time frame. The next tab is returns and refunds. This is where you will see the returns and refunds from whether the customer took it to the store or they're sending it back to you. And you have the opportunity to also dispute these returns within a certain time period. So if they were to mail you something back, say they bought a toy and they sent you a hat or something, you can dispute the return, provide the required paperwork to Walmart, and then hope that they refund you if it was something scammy like that. So I don't do too much with my returns over here. I keep an eye on them, but I've only ever disputed like 2, I think. So something to be aware of though. Adjustments, this would be where you would go if you needed to make an adjustment on a purchase order. So you would just put the order or type in the name here, and then you could make an adjustment to their price. Maybe you got an email that they found it cheaper, or you wanted to offer a refund and not require that the customer send it back, you could do that here. And then disputes, this is where you would follow up with those disputes. Next, analytics. This is where you can see your sales. It will automatically default to the last 7 days. You can make changes to that. You can do custom, or they've got some presets here if you want to know what your sales were. You can also come down here and see your sales versus your canceled sales and your refunded sales within this time frame. So really, I had 3,500 in sales, but refunds and cancellations brings it down to 2,100. It is return UARY after all, so you're going to expect some refunds here. This will also give you a heads up as to which department or category you're selling the most in during that time frame. So I have a lot of toys, so mine is toys. Lowest was food, treats. So just some fun info here you can pay attention to. It's fun to track where you were last year versus this year. The next tab is performance. So you're actually rated on different metrics by Walmart. The first one is on-time delivery. That's self-explanatory. You need to make sure your packages are getting to your customers by the promised date. The valid tracking rate. When you ship an item, you have 24 hours for that item to be scanned by either USPS or UPS. And if not, you'll actually get dinged here with your orders. Seller response rate, that would be acknowledging any of the messages that come from your customers, which we'll go over in a minute, up in your inbox, refund rate, and cancel rate. So my cancel rate right now is looking kind of rough. There's 3 orders impacted. And since I haven't sold too much in the last couple weeks, seller fulfilled, it hurts me a little bit more. So overall, my metrics are okay. I'm not too worried about it, but this is definitely somewhere you want to keep an eye out because if these dip too low, they will actually deactivate your account and then you'll have to submit a plan of action as to why your metrics dipped like that and what you're going to do to fix them. So make sure you are following through and keep an eye on this. If you only do WFS, then you don't have to worry about it. All right, growth opportunities. In this tab, if you had any capital offers like from Payoneer or Hyperwallet or Walmart itself, those would show up here. Also, your Pro Seller badge, your progress will be listed here. The Pro Seller badge is kind of a nice perk if you can keep your metrics up when the customer is looking at all of their options for purchasing an item. If you are a pro seller, then you'll get that little blue check and it'll say that you are a seller that follows Walmart's requirements and they kind of verify you or identify you as a pro seller. Also, buy box eligibility if you were to compete against other sellers. The probability of you getting the buy box over sellers that don't have the pro seller badge is higher. So it's a good thing to have. And once you have it, you just want to hold on to it because it just gives you that little more edge and makes customers feel comfortable purchasing from you when they see that pro seller badge. So like right now, I'm not meeting the seller response rate. So apparently I was a little slow to respond to some customer messages, probably over Christmas. So I have until January 20th to get that up. So for me personally, I'm really watching my inbox right now to make sure I'm answering everything as quick as I can. There's some other fun things here. I will let you guys kind of go through that on your own. If you have any questions, of course, I'm always around. The next tab here is your payments tab. So as a new seller, you will be paid bi-weekly by Walmart and then your payment method, depending on what you filled out when you signed up. Every other Tuesday, I believe, is when the biweekly payments hit. The more you sell, you will actually qualify for early payouts. So keep an eye open on this tab as you grow as a seller. What will happen is as you become eligible, you will get your payments early. So, and the minimum is $300. So like the last statement, I was getting deposits frequently. I mean, look, this is every day, really. So this was really helpful during, the last rush of Q4, flipping that capital. Some people like the stability of every 2 weeks because they can budget, but I think having your on-demand payments turned on, especially during Q4, is awesome because it gives you that buying power to just flip your capital faster. So that's a personal decision. Once you've been selling for a little while, you'll have that option and you can decide from there. File Center is just where your files will show up when you download them. There are different reports and things that you can request, and those will show up there. WFS. So as a seller on Walmart, you can either seller fulfill or WFS, which is it's actually just like FBA versus FBM. So if you decide to send your inventory WFS and have Walmart fulfill your orders, your inventory will show up here and it'll give you a rundown as to what's in stock, how many you have, how many are reserved. Up here in the upper right hand corner is where you will send inventory or remove inventory. We can step through that at another time too, but shipments, this is where you will create your shipments for WFS, and I will do a video on how to do this. But just real quick, you'd go into send inventory, and this is where you create your batch, so to speak, and then add all your items, and it's super easy. I think it's easier than FBA. So the one nice thing about WFS is if there's 5 sellers on a listing and one of them is WFS, even if they're priced a little bit higher than the seller fulfilled, they will get the buy box every single time over those other sellers. So it helps to WFS if you're willing to do so. The next thing is delivery appointments. As part of the WFS walkthrough, it will actually offer you the ability to schedule your pickups at the end. So that would show here. And then your WFS sales, it'll group those separately from your other sales just so you can keep track. It gives little rundowns. You can change the dates if you want to keep track of how you're doing. Just lots of info available. Removal orders would be if you had old inventory or expired inventory and you needed to remove that. This is where you would go to do that. And then reports, specifically to WFS, your orders, customer returns, you can pull that, inventory reconciliation, storage, your fees. That will be a whole other video. There's a lot of information you can get here, and unfortunately, it all comes separately, so you kind of have to piece it together. But that is where you would get those. And then the App Store, that's just different softwares that Walmart partners with or has connections with if you wanted to take advantage of any of those. Like here's Informed, as a repricer. So you can always keep an eye on that for new softwares to be added. Seller Grate, I actually use the free version of that. It'll give me a rundown every day of what my previous sales were for the day, the week, the month. It's just kind of motivating and it kind of keeps you on track so you know what's going on if you're not checking it every day. So that is the different tabs as far as your inventory goes. Up here on the top, just a quick rundown. BizMentor is something you can sign up for. It will help you with things like which items you should consider sending WFS, different offers that aren't matching the buy box, different recommendations as to what inventory you should consider stocking up on, just little tips for you to help your business. The next is your inbox. This is your message center. So when customers need to contact you, these messages will show up here. Normally, you'll have like a little, just like this says 6. If you get a message, it'll say 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then it'll send you an email as well if you have the notifications set up, which you definitely should because you only have 24 hours to respond to a customer. So this is where you will do that. Settings, you can change things for your like your business information or that display name we talked about in another video if you wanted to update that. You can add users. There's your taxes. There's a lot of information here. I'll let you guys play with that, but if you have questions, let me know. Help. This is where you will contact support if you're having issues. So there's a chat feature and then there's also a phone number and there's also email cases you can open. So if you seller fulfill only, then you have to either use the chat function or open up a case. If you're using WFS, then you can call the WFS number and I'll make sure that's in the comments and talk to them about whatever issue you're having. But those are the two support channels for right now. This case history is where you can see all your previous cases. And then there's lots of helpful information here in the partner help. Notifications. So this is going to let me know different things like I'm ineligible for a buy box. My selling limits have changed. Different notifications that you sign up for will show up here. I just kind of keep a look-see and kind of go through them once in a while. This is the marketplace that you're selling in, and then your profile and your notification settings, like I was talking about earlier. One notification setting that I would highly recommend you sign up for, and they do not automatically sign you up for it, is your selling limits right here. As a seller, you actually have a limit of how much you can sell every month. And the only way I actually learned about this was because the first weekend of December, I was actually shut down for selling too much that weekend. And I had no idea what my limits were, and they had to go through and review my account. But losing out on that day of selling really hurt. So I've since signed up for all of these, and then this was actually the first month that I got the selling limits email. So I know what my limits are this month, and it's kind of encouraging to want to push through those limits. So next month, they will reevaluate whether my limits go up or down depending on my performance and my sales. So I would highly recommend you sign up for these selling limits because there's nowhere to find out what those actually are in your account. You have to get the email. So yeah, that's a rundown of Seller Central. If you have any specific questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to help. Keep an eye on this up here. If it says active and it's green, you're good to go. If that turns to anything else, you're going to want to reach out to Walmart and open up a case and see what's going on. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.